And I just realized my mic was muted. I don't know why, and I'm an idiot. So I will start over. Welcome, guys. This is a special impromptu episode of Second Guessing with Stressin'. I'm your host, Garrett Williams, aka Texans commentator or Houston Stressins. Yeah, it kind of worked out for me today where the wife took the older child to a birthday party, and I was at the house with the younger one. She had a nap. And so, BG, I'm talking now. If you can confirm now, it should be good. Not, let me know. Just give me a heads up right now that it's working now. I know initially I was on mute. Let's see. You just replied again. And yes. Okay, cool. So, yeah, this will be fun for those who listen on podcast and YouTube on the replay. But anyhow, yeah, I had a little time to do this. I wanted to try and do it last night. It seemed like there was a lot of stuff to talk about come out of day 2 or day 3. I'm not sure which day it was of OTAs. Obviously, the big headliner is the mystery around CJ Stroud and his injury, non-injury, all that stuff. But I figured it'd be good to kind of cover it and kind of go back through my timeline, and we can dissect some more interviews. Nick Caley spoke, and I love everything I heard from him once again. So we can kind of do that. And if y'all got any questions along the way, we can do that as well. But I guess off the rip, I can kind of talk about the CJ Stroud injury. So I'm not concerned. Like I did say, like, okay, we'll see Friday if he doesn't practice, then I'll start, getting somewhat worried. So I think it is like a mild cause of concern, but to me, I would assume it's not anything major. I know Aaron Wilson has been reporting on it, and I don't know if he reported what he heard from the Texans or just maybe from his own sources. But at first, it seemed like it was a sore pectoral muscle, and then it was a sore shoulder muscle. And then he, has his videos where he came out and said it's not a cause of concern, that they're not worried about it. And Nick Caley said that as well, too, while watching the presser. Basically, I do like the fact that Caley is on the same page with D'Amico, regardless of what's going on. That means they're in communication. So, I mean, he directly referenced what D'Amico had said about everyone being on their own schedule. So, my assumption is he's probably totally fine. It's probably something very minor. I would assume that it's something that if he was in season, he would be able to play with, obviously. And then obviously too, if it's a new system and your first time quarterback. By the way, I got my Stroud shirt on, so we got hope. We're good. He's fine. But yeah, so I would say, I think a big thing is we're all excited that OTAs are back, football's semi back. And I think I touched on this last live stream, but I feel like OTAs are a much bigger deal to us fans than it is to the team, especially from like the physical regard. I think they value it as a big mental rep, fundamentals, basics, all that stuff, as opposed to, I mean, you heard D'Amico say it with the O line, like, yeah, we see these lineups and people, we have these reactions and want to proclaim, oh, this is the first lineup that's going to be the starting five. Like, nah, it's going to change. It's going to be fluid. But he made the point, like, we don't know who's going to do what. There's no pads. Like, right now, and I kind of had this thought, and I guess I said it last time too, in particular with the O line, but I think it's with the whole offense as a whole, because we heard Nick Caley talk about it, and we'll get into that. But this whole phase with OTAs it's like bonus time, and I would call it, especially with the offense, a new OC, him coming in, him being an OC that doesn't have a predetermined offense. He's evaluating his personnel, who can do what and who can't do what. This is like the research and development phase. And so there's no need to rush guys out there like CJ Stroud or Christian Harris. I'm sure that's a cause of concern, but I would assume hopefully it's probably something similar where he's probably fine, but why risk it, especially if he has a history of, being like real lean and vascular and pulling a muscle and he's coming off an injury. I mean, and so like they're kind of doing that, like Braxton Berrios, Dalton Schultz, everyone's got different stuff. I mean, no one really cares about Dalton Schultz, but I mean, obviously it's different when it's Stroud and the quarterback, the franchise quarterback, and it's a new scheme. But still, like, I guess that's kind of the reminder, like, look at the other guys that either aren't there or aren't practicing as well and probably have minimal to no injury. And we do know, like, their nature of handling injuries, especially in season, they're also very cautious then. In season, Casario and D'Amico have both said multiple times, especially when talking about like Nico Collins coming back from a hamstring injury, that they would rather take extra time, like up to 2 weeks longer, and play the long game. So they played the long game in the season to save guys for the back half of the season. We're talking about end of May right now. May 30th, May was yesterday. So yeah, they're thinking long term. So I'm not worried about it. I get the part about like being frustrated, and I kind of agree, like of not just being transparent. Like if that was the case, then why don't they just come out and say it? Like what, like so I know a lot of people like say, well, like you don't want to give your opponents any, advantage on injuries. We're in May. Like, what is us saying, hey, we're resting, he's got shoulder soreness gonna do? Like the fact that you like hide it makes it more suspicious, and now we like question it more. Whereas if you would have just came out the first day, but yeah, we're kind of resting him, he's a little sore. Well, day by day, not a big deal. Like we would have been like, okay, kind of stressing out, but not a big deal. But like the fact that you like, kind of say it's just like, I was under the impression it was like rep management. Like he might have thrown other days that we didn't know because we have no access. Media doesn't to portray it back to us. But then when he doesn't do it again, it's like, okay. And then, it starts to come out, different reports. Like it's just like be upfront and honest about it. And then so that can make people think it's worse than what it is. And then you have, the history, like Christian Harris last year. And I really do think a lot of that was they just didn't know. And I do think there was an element of that too with the Astros with Kyle Tucker, like negligence. I don't think that both teams in those instances with Kyle Tucker and Christian Harris said, "Hey, we're going to lie about their return to keep an advantage for opponents." I don't think that's the case. So that is an element of it too. But it is funny how Houston sports, Astros, and Texans. And then you had today, Yordan Alvarez. It's reported that he has a fracture in his thumb. He was taking BP yesterday. They thought it was just swelling or whatever, and then the swelling went down. And then after the swelling, they took a X-ray and it's fractured. So it is, as a Houston fan, it's frustrating. And I don't know. I think it's the mix of the two. I think it's a mix of incompetence, especially on the Astros, like medical staff to an extent, like just not really knowing or being able to diagnose stuff, and then maybe a little bit of why should we tell these people. But if it is, I don't see why you shouldn't be transparent. But they've also shown us the Texans too with any and all injuries under D'Amico Ryans and Nick Casario. They keep things hush. And I guess that's just the way they do it. But I mean, if your logic is to keep things hush to not have people freak out, or if that's the logic, then it's, to me, it's like you get the inverse result. Like people are going to freak out if you don't tell us, especially if it's minor. Just come out and say it. But whatever. I mean, I think he's fine. I think all the other guys are fine. And I get to like someone in the chat. Shout out everyone in the chat so far. BG Primo looks. He says rather be cautious than careless. Facts. I agree, especially this early. And then Forrest Mudge says his shoulder always concerns me. The fact that he kept Shaq Mason instead of Scruggs, got CJ killed after what we saw all season, was insane. Yeah, and so there is that element too with CJ Stroud. I believe there was a couple injuries that he had while at Ohio State. And so I don't know if that was, I can't recall if that was like a potential concern when drafting him or not. But so that's definitely, that kind of adds to it. And then last year we saw, I think it was the Ravens game when he got hurt. And that's when the ball started like coming out weird. And he alluded to being banged up and then like backtracked it in one of the pressers. And so we never really got full, answers on what that was or the severity. So maybe an element of that is he battled through a shoulder injury the rest of the season and all offseason. We don't know. And I don't know if guys can get surgery under the radar. That would be crazy if they hid that. To me, I just think it's just taking their time. But again, like we said, obviously a new offense, you want him out there getting reps, and you got new receivers. You got 3 new receivers. You want him to get continuity with those guys. But, so there's still plenty of time. I'm not worried about it. I think he'll be fine. Obviously, like we said, you're missing out on some of those reps, but like we've pointed out before, he's still active and out there and gaining from these practices, like the mental side. And that's the big thing. Like I've preached about these OTAs in general, like they just care about the mental side. Like they know what these guys can do. especially like veterans, like rookies, maybe they need to go out there and prove themselves. But like Nico, CJ, like we know what he is, bro. Like he doesn't need to prove anything. So yeah, besides like chemistry and the offense, but I mean the offense too, like he's made all these throws, like the new routes that Caley will have, he's read. So like mentally going through it is gonna be still a good benefit. But I'll see if I can look up his injury history and see if they have something on there for that. I guess the keyboard's not working. Whatever. I guess I won't. Is it working now? Let's see. CJ. Nah, it's not. But yeah, so I mean, I get that part of it. And Brandon says, shout out Brandon says, this 100% means we are signing Aaron Rodgers. That would be hilarious. Primo Looks. Shout out Primo Looks too. Follow him on Instagram. If y'all don't, he makes a lot of good content. He said they wouldn't tell us last year about Christian Harris studied, which was weird. Yeah, so the Harris one, like, I think that was just botched. Like, I think they didn't know, and I think it was a mysterious injury. And then I think that it sounds, this is a guess, but like, we all thought he'd be back week 2, week 3, week 4, and we're all speculating, media, fans, because they don't tell us anything. So again, by you not telling us, people start just saying stuff. So you create misinformation by not giving us information. But from what we saw, it seemed like he was rushed back and re-aggravated his injury. And so, I mean, I get it, that happens, but it seems from us to fans like y'all mishandled the rehab. And if you are transparent about everything along the way, then you can prevent all this criticism. Like if you can say, hey, he hurt his leg doing this, we don't know what he did. Same with CJ, which I guess it's not owed to us, but the point is, if you tell us, and not, I guess they don't care, then all like this chatter and worry would go away. And so, like, if they get annoyed by chatter and rumors and worries, then just tell people, So that would be my only gripe about it. And so Nosh says, I don't think it's concerning whatsoever, just precautionary. Yeah, I agree. Facts. 100%. 100%. It's just more about the way they handled it. And even then, that's a minor gripe. I get the argument. They don't owe us jack. But I would say the argument of not telling us for a competitive advantage in May isn't relevant. But if it was during the season, if you're about to play an opponent that week, then I could see that. So, Mr. Optimistic, shout out Mr. Optimistic. CJ going to be okay? I'm optimistic. Yes, you are. It's in your name. I am also optimistic. Brandon says Nick Wright saying Stroud will bounce back this season, but the rest of the team won't be as good, and they miss the playoffs is a smug take. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, we fired our OC, we revamped the O-line, we got new receivers, the defense is going to be even better. That's wild. Forever Royal, what up, Stressins? Hope all is well, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm doing good. I got a beer. Yeah, and I need to start plugging myself again. It's at Texans Commenter. If you don't, please follow me on X, TikTok, and YouTube at Texans Commenter, at Houston Stressins on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're listening, or if you don't, also on podcast on Spotify and Apple, it's called Second Guessing with Stressin. If you could follow on all platforms, whether you use them or not, and if you could, it'd be much appreciated. If you don't mind subscribing and giving a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple, that would also help a lot. And of course, my website, HoustonStressins.com. I'm going to start spending more time on that this summer. Obviously I got the store, I got the free newsletter. Feel free to subscribe to that. There's been a bunch of content. I aggregate all the content from YouTube, like any Texans interviews on any platforms, and I have playlists that basically embeds it on my site. It also has a feed from my Instagram. I got articles. Everything you need is right there. And I'll be working on too. I have if you want to know who to follow, I have a member directory with all the, people's names. I guess I can pull it up real quick and show some of that stuff. So if you don't know who to follow, you can just go to my site and everything's there. Let's see here. And so my next step on here is I'm working with James Roy from the Bullpen. Shout out James. He wants to make some merch. So I told him that I can host it on my site. So basically on the site here, if you go to Texans Media at the top, I got pretty much everybody. And if you don't see your name on this list, you can click add or update your links. And the thing I like about this is basically it can act as your own link tree. So basically you can claim it, but on here, you can have your X and all that stuff. Boom, right there as Bo Diggity's X. So I can put all that stuff in and add a bio. you can embed like your YouTube videos and then have a store. So that's what I'm working on for James Roy and the bullpen, is to get theirs updated to have the store. And so let me go back, but yeah, on the site, I mean, the media, the watch videos tab, I need to change that to videos. But this is pretty good. I mean, I got all my content on here, like whether it's live streams or clips or shorts or whatever. And then I got all the interviews on here, man. Like the Texans finally started clipping them up individually. So you got interviews online. Um, Pretty much most of it, man. I mean, you can, if you're bored and need stuff, it's all right there. And then this is something I want to get going, is the Discord. I haven't really pushed it, but I feel like this could be a good community. I know we all have our own apps, X, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, but it'd be cool just to have this on here. Like it'd be nice to like integrate it all where it's like a separate deal. And maybe this summer I've talked about potentially doing an app. I don't know if an app would make it easier to kind of make this all encompassing, just trying to make it more user friendly. So and yeah, the store I got to where you can search and filter and all that stuff. But yeah, so that's the store. But I was going to say too, what I need to start doing is like what I've done is like I've just built this up, and I've made some money like just from X and the store, and basically like any money I've made, I've like invested back in it. Like obviously I pay for the site to host. I have like different services like PFF, NFL Pro, whatever, Restream, this service right here. And so basically any money I've made, I've just reinvested just to build back up into it to give you guys a better product. But as things slow down, I want to start like finding sponsors. I feel like the streams would have a good thing for that. So I need to hit up Love Street is what I'm saying. But with that note, like if anybody knows anybody, if you have a small business or a friend or a family, and if there's a potential for, a partnership, I'm all ears, whether it's just like a show for a single show, or if you want to sponsor everything or whatever. So I'll be getting on that soon, and hopefully I don't get too commercialized and have too many ads. I like to keep it organic and just not bog you guys down. So, but anyhow, like eventually I'm going to have to start to take that step to make this more worth my while. And one thing that's going to help me out a lot is finally getting monetized on YouTube, which I'm close. So you need like 3,000 watch hours, and I'm like at like 2,500. So if y'all could please watch on YouTube, just find all my videos and leave them running in the background, that would be dope. And that would allow me to get super chats, which I think that's a great feature where it kind of, benefits both parties. So yeah, so OTAs addressed the CJ Stroud one. Yordan Alvarez, it was announced today. Kind of the same old song and dance with the Astros. Very frustrating, but I figured we can just kind of go through the day, through the timeline of yesterday, and kind of recap everything that happened. So let's see here. Let's share the screen again. Get the X. All right, let's do a side by side. How's that? There we go. All right, so let's just start from the bottom. And shout out Jacob, Texans Jacob. He does a lot of good tweets. He does like pretty good investigative stuff. He went like Jake Andrews is a guy who we've been seeing starting at center, or we think starting, and he kind of went through his grades. He didn't play really much at all, but he played in the preseason, so he did that. But yeah, so again, Dalton Schultz was there. We're just walking. Woody Marks walking up with Nick Caley. I can't wait to see what Nick Caley will do with Woody Marks, man. I mean, they went up and traded for him for a reason. He was regarded as the best third down back, pass catching back in the draft. He caught like 83 plus passes one year at Mississippi State. So, I mean, having an offense that seemed to have zero running back in the passing game to now, hopefully Nick Caley will do that. It would be great. Shout out Joseph Rivera. He says Love Street is fire. BG says Crawford Bach. Forrest Mudge says they do owe us that explanation. We buy tickets, merch. Yeah, I mean that's fair, dude. That's fair. Yeah, I get that 100%. He's talking about the injuries, and then let's see, my guy Royal. He says what up, and let's see who else we missed on here. Yeah, and then Joseph Rivera says great game by Fromber last night. That was freaking crazy, dude. 83 pitches and he gave up a run and 3 hits and a walk, I think. Like, that's like one of the most effective pitch counts I've ever seen. That's insane. And then shout out, let's see here on X, Grafa says, Stressins, what up, my guy? What's going on, brother? Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, so it's going back through the day. This was a pretty cool video here. I mean, what a relationship this is. And Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter, Hawk and Locke, dude, they're like best friends, joined at the hip, and they're just like great vibes. Just that's awesome, dude. You couldn't ask for. I mean, to have both those guys perform the way they did in their rookie year, being drafted where they were, second and third round, and yeah, I mean that's incredible. And let's see here on the chat. Primo says, "Love these lives, man. I appreciate it, man." So yeah, like I've talked about it, but like I'm kind of casual. Like this is like we're hanging out. I tried initially like doing scripts and I'm gonna do this and that, or and then even like interviews, I did that, and I found like when you do that, at least me personally, I get so worried about like doing things in order. Whereas if I just kind of go with the flow and like shoot the shit with you guys, like organic, and like when you engage with the community, that's when you get a lot of your best ideas and cover a lot of the best topics, because who wants to hear it? Y'all, us, we, like, it's like, why not just kind of let it happen organically? And then I found too, like, I'm so active on social media, I can just go back through my timeline and everything's right there. So, yeah, Robert Land, my guy, y'all follow Robert Land on X and YouTube. He does a great job with the Houston Sports Talk podcast. I've been on there a number of times. He says, "Don't worry about CJ Stroud. Graham Mertz has never thrown an incomplete pass in the NFL." Hey, I can't argue with that. Space Age, thanks for tuning in. He says, "I agree, Forrest." I believe he's talking about, them giving us an explanation. That's totally fair. So, and yeah, I guess staying on the Hawk and Lock topic here, let's see what Will has to say about him. Let's see.
Kamari Lassiter and Caley Bullock with their energy coming in, right? Even today, starting in OTAs.
Yeah, the young bucks, man. It's the same, bro. Like, it's fun watching them. They love football so much. They're very passionate about it. You hear Kamari slapping into him, man. You hear Caleb over there running to him, man. And that's what you need on a defense like this. We are playing attack-style defense, and we got 2 attackers in the back end, man, that don't mind getting their hands dirty.
Hawk and Lock, baby. I got a shirt for them. I guess y'all may not like it. I guess the design isn't that good. Let me see. I haven't really been pushing it either, but I want to make it a little wider. Let me see. I guess like it's kind of skinny, but you can't see it on here. Let's go here. That's weird. Why is it doing that? Let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. Hawk and Lock. Y'all don't like that? I mean, and y'all won't hurt my feelings. If I have anything that sucks, just tell me, dude. Like, I'm all about feedback. Like, everything I do is like grassroots, because I'm one of y'all. Like, I'm a fan, and like the merch, like really, like my main goal with it is to like give us something that we like or want. I felt like as I've kind of like made this natural journey into what I've evolved into, it's like it's stuff that I've felt and seen that's missing or needed. So I just need to make it a little wider. Like, it's kind of skinny, but I think like the actual, a hawk with a lock on his mouth is pretty dope. I mean, if not, just tell me, or if y'all have any ideas for shirts or want other types of shirts, tell me. That's the whole point of it. I want, stuff that people want. But yep, Hawk and Lock. There was Schultz, and then shout out Cody Stutes. He tweeted, Ariante Ursary gets a crack at left tackle before Cam Robinson. And then he said Jalen Thomas played right guard on Wednesday. Today, already been at left guard. So Jalen Thomas moving around on both sides. Juice Scruggs, after no snaps Wednesday at center, now snapping at center today. He went after Jake Andrews. So again, this speaks to the research and development element of OTAs that I was talking about. I think it's twofold. I think that it's one, the fact that we have a new offensive coordinator who's evaluating our personnel and getting to know who can and can't do what. And it's also coupled with the fact that like this is a great time to do that, to research and develop, to experiment. And so like guys are, playing left side, right side, guard, tackle. Like, this is good. And like, or playing first string, second string. The fact that they put Ursary as a first string, like in the second day that we've seen, that's dope, dude. Like, so when D'Amico tells us, if we draft you high, we expect you to play, or like he basically, lets it be known that he's not afraid to play rookies. If you're the best player, you're going to play, or he's going to give you a chance. Like, you're not going to be just stonewalled because this guy's here and whatever, like wait your turn. Like, no, like the cream will rise to the top. Like, a lot of coaches don't do that. A lot of these old school coaches, they got egos or this or that, and like feel like you got to prove it. Like Bill O'Brien, I know we're all, he's often brought up when we talk about how awesome it is D'Amico allows rookies to work their way up. But you just look at like his track record last year, Kamari and Kalen Bullock, bro. Like, no matter where you're drafted at, where you came from, your age, they're going to play who they think is the best player. So that's just another example. Will he start day one? Who knows? But what this tells us is if he's good enough, if he's better than Cam Robinson by week one, if he's picked things up, if he's pro ready, they will start him. They're not scared to do it. So if he's not starting, it's not because they think he's a rookie and he's too young and they shouldn't do that. It's because he's not ready, and that's fine. But we'll see how it plays out. So I think that's good. And then again, the versatility. Like, now we have at least. So last year we had like one or two guys that could play center. It was basically Patterson and Scruggs. This year we have Patterson, Scruggs, Jake Andrews, and Eli Cox. That's four guys that seem to be viable options. So again, last year's O-line was like set in stone. Everyone kind of had their spots, no depth. And then this year, it's the complete opposite. There's no spot set in stone. I mean, I was going to say like maybe the only one set in stone was left tackle for Cam Robinson. And I was going to say Titus at left guard, but he played right guard and he's playing left guard. He's playing right tackle. So I don't know. I think Titus is the one for sure locked in starter. We just don't know where on the O-line. And then I was going to say Cam Robinson would probably be the next one, but we just saw Ursary get reps at first team the second day. So it's really Titus is there's no position on our O-line that is locked down. Like, Titus is the only player. We just don't know where, in my opinion. So this is a good thing. Like, whereas last year, like pretty much LT was locked in. Kenyon Green was locked in. Juice was locked in. Shaq was locked in. And Titus was locked in. Last year, all five, for the most part, were locked in. There were like very little to no questions as to who was going to start where. Now, this year, we don't know any of the five. And I can see how initially that can be thought as a bad thing. That is a good thing. Iron sharpens iron. Who wants it? Go get it. And with that being said, too, we're not going to pigeonhole or box you into a certain position. If you want to try this position or that position, go do it. Like, hey, who knows? Maybe you're a good left tackle. Maybe you're a good right guard. Maybe you're a left guard. Let's go figure it out. Like, that's a good thing. And then, again, like I pointed out last live stream, the other part of this, too, is like we had the oh shit last year where Kenyon Green, wasn't nearly what we thought he would be. And then Shaq Mason had this massive regression. So all of a sudden we had two big holes in our interior at left guard and right guard and no depth. And so now we're having to play musical chairs and figure out who can play where and this and that. We're doing that now. And so this is not only to find out who starts where, but now we have the contingency plans in place when things may go wrong and things change. You have injuries, you have guys that suck like out of nowhere, like all this stuff. But now rather than scrambling, like you already have an idea. Okay, if this happens, we can try that. So this is good, in my opinion. It's a great thing. Back to the chat. Space Age says, I wish we had a backup like Aaron Rodgers. I know he's a diva, but CJ can learn from him. I don't trust Mills. Hold on. I am high on Aaron Rodgers. I get that the personality, I don't argue that, is a lot. And like he's a diva and wants to control things and kind of a smart ass. I thought he was, I looked like an idiot because the season didn't turn out great, but I thought the Jets were going to be better than what they were. Turns out not having a head coach hurts you. But I think he still has the talent. Like, obviously, is a little bit less mobile, but like he has the cerebral part. If you look at his stats too, like he graded out pretty well and like numbers pretty well. Surprised he's still not signed, but I would not want him. That being said, I would not want him on the Texans. And I am much higher on Mills than you are and most people. I think Mills is one of the top backups in the league. I think he's great, man. So I don't think we need to get another backup quarterback. Brandon says, what's Stroud going to learn from Rodgers, who really built the pyramids? Yeah, he would freaking poison him, dude. And then, yeah, just going back to Aaron Wilson, shout out Aaron Wilson. He says several players not practicing today or not a voluntary workout, which was Joe Mixon, who we know was in a walking boot. Sounds like he's fine. Daniil Hunter. I mean, no one's freaking out Daniil Hunter. You know, we just paid him this fat contract. Oh, no, is he not going to play all year? I mean, it's just because he's not the franchise quarterback, you know, so you got to kind of remember that. CJ Gardner-Johnson, you know, we'll see the video here. He posted, like, I know y'all asking why I'm not at OTAs. He posted a video of him working. He's fine. We're good. Danico Autry, no one's talking about that. Sheldon Rankins, no one's talking about that, which I think it might be like his wife or his girlfriend. She said that she DM'd me, whoever it was, I think it's someone related to Sheldon, DM'd me on Instagram and replied to one of my stories and said, Sheldon will be back in Houston this weekend. So I don't know if we can consider that breaking news or not, but Sheldon Rankins will be back in Houston this weekend. And something I've been trying to do is, like, I really want to get interviews with these players, man. Like, I've built relationships, like, just like, and not like me, like, you know, forcing it, but like, you know, naturally random people follow me that are related, like Will Anderson Jr.'s mom. And like, there's a relationship there. Like, I'm just like, it would be nice to have these interviews, and I have a lot of great ideas and things set up. Like, I would like to just do a live one like this, and I would keep it good too. Like, I wouldn't, you know, make it crazy, and I'm sure y'all would be chill in the chat. But I feel like it would be cool to have someone like me. Like, I know enough ball. It's where I can ask like insightful questions, and I scour this stuff all day, so I know everything, and I watch every interview. So I feel like I already know most of these guys. But it would be cool too to like kind of get down like on a personal level. I feel like it would be different than most interviews. And so, yeah, like there's a lot of angles I've been working, some former players that I've had connections with and talking to, trying to get to happen that just doesn't quite happen. And then I had a couple ideas for like series, like a golfing series, like a walk and talk golf. So like all the golfers on the team, like Kaimi Fairbairn, Tommy Townsend, Christian Kirk, Davis Mills. Like, there's a lot of golfers. I feel like that would be dope too if I could just like walk and talk and we could play and make it like a YouTube series. And then also fishing. Like, I have a place where I can fish with the pier at night and like catch a bunch of fish. Like Will Anderson Jr. fishing would be dope. Kamari likes to fish. That would be dope. Jalen and Jaden Higgins, they like to fish. Having an interview with them, that would be crazy. Like, and if anybody can make it happen, help me out. I feel like if I just get one, and again, y'all know me, like, I'm not gonna try to paint anybody in a bad light. You know, at the same time, I wouldn't just be like a kiss ass, but like, I'm respectful. So I really want that to happen. So I'm trying to get that going. Over in the chat, Forever Royal says, I rock with Mills at QB2. And then he says Mills can legit start for some team across the league. I agree with that. And then Space Age says, I'll remember this. We'll see how many games Mills can win if CJ goes down. Yeah, I'm with Forever Royal. And I get it's a debate. But back to guys who didn't play. Damian Pierce, you know, nursing injury. Christian Harris, it sounds like being safe with them. Christian Kirk, we're not freaking about that. That's just like a vet rest day, I assume. Tank Dell, obviously. Hope Tank's doing well. Got Tank right here behind me. Oh, I can never figure out how to move my head on this damn thing. Right there, Tank. I think it's autographed. I got it from I met him in person at the Top Golf event last year. And then Jimmy Ward, he's rehabbing. Braxton Berrios, injury. Brevin Jordan, sounds like he's rehabbing. Justin Watson, not sure. Henry Toa, not sure. But yeah, so I believe right here, Jaden Higgins catching some balls, pause. And then right here is Higgins and Knoll. Let's take a look. I think I think Ben McDaniels, the wide receiver coach, also sounds like Nick Caley, who they both sound like Sean McVay. I'm kind of guessing on that. So Brandon says, is Higgins slightly taller than Nico? I don't know. People are asking. If so, it's not by much. And let me know what y'all think. I was trying to think of a nickname, but I kind of like the Twin Towers, but I didn't want to like repeat. I know like we called, I think it was Samson and Hakeem back in the day. And then I think Duncan and Robinson also went by that as well. And Mr. Optimistic mentioned it, but I was thinking like Twin Toros. What do y'all think about Twin Toros as a nickname? Because it kind of sounds like Twin Towers, but it's Twin Toros, Toro, the Bull, the Texans. I feel like that's kind of dope. Let me know if that's a good nickname for Jaden Higgins and Nico Collins. If not, whether you're on here or listen to it later, drop in the chat a good nickname, or let me know if you like it. Space Age says, it's reality, fellas. It's happened to Burrow, Lamar, Herbert, Mahomes. QBs get banged up. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it happens. And so CJ didn't really throw. That was a big story. It was talked about Petrie making a play, which we'll get to. Here's some more receiver routes. Let's just watch these real quick. And so my daughter's she's sleeping, and she normally wakes up around 3:40. So I might have to hop off abruptly at some point in time here. So Brandon says, isn't Twin Toros a podcast? I don't know. I'll have to see. I don't know if it is or not, but it should be a nickname for them. And then T says, my favorite Whitewood. What up? What up, bro? Appreciate that, fam. Yeah, and so again, to reiterate the O-line, there was team drills. The first team O-line was Ursery, Tomlinson, Andrews, Howard, Fisher. So pretty similar to the last one, except Ursery over Cam. And then Sarge had some tweets about how Higgins and CJ were talking a lot. And then he kind of pointed out how Popovich was, pretty active. It looks like he wants to suit up, which is a great breath of fresh air. And then, there was a battle between Titus and Will had a pretty good day. And then here, let's listen to Nick Caley talk about CJ not throwing.
Everybody, yeah, he's locked in every step of the way. No concerns whatsoever. I know D'Amico's already hit on this. Everybody's got a specific routine relative to their own routine, specific to whatever, through whether it's football, whether it's athletic training, etc. And he's doing a great job, and he's out here and he's working.
Yeah, so again, I think
he's locked in.
I think it's pretty good that he was aware of what D'Amico said. So that could be, obviously they know, but like maybe they're trying to get out in front of this and be coordinated, but still it's not a bad thing. So, and then, this wasn't as interesting to most people,
yeah, I think
but
everything.
This is interesting to me in that he basically says we're going to run the offense that he said he would in his presser, basically adaptability and adjust to not only your own personnel, but to opponents, which I think is a good thing. I know some people are like, oh, game plan offense, like no identity. I disagree. I think you still have your bread and butter, but you now have flexibility. And that's a lot of what we're doing now in OTAs is we're trying all kinds of shit and we're seeing what works and getting people familiar with all kinds of stuff.
I think everything, to answer your question, really it's not my stamp specifically. It's what suits the strength of the guys that we got. So I think we're in the discovery process through phase 2, and we get to work with them on the field, get an opportunity to see the different
discovery process, R&D. That's what I said.
Skill sets, the different routes, the different schemes that we could potentially deploy this year. So it's really an evolving process, and this is the time to really kind of put the rubber on the road and see what we can do and evolve from there. Well, it depends on the players we got, and that's not a cop-out. That's the reality of it. So it can evolve, be willing to change and do whatever we need to do that's necessary based on who we have and who we're playing. Whether that's, again, you want to get big in terms of multiple personnel or not, gap schemes or zone schemes, committing to more play action or not, that's going to really be dependent on, what your personnel dictates and who you have available. So, again, that's the great part about this year is we get to do a lot of different things and really put a lot of guys in different positions to run certain routes, some of them which some of these guys have never done anything, or certain routes that we have.
And so real quick, he's basically saying a lot of the different personnel and packages. That's what me and Cecil talked about. Shout out Cecil Shorts a couple weeks ago. You could go out in 10 personnel, 3 wide, 4 wide. You could go 5 wide. You could go 3 tight ends, 13 personnel. You could go 2 running backs. You could go 3 running backs. You could go you're not married to one, way to attack. And then right now he's about to say something important as well.
And they might be just exclusively outside receivers that we're working inside and vice versa. So it's a good opportunity just to see what these guys can do.
So not only are they shuffling with the O-line, they're doing the same shit with the receivers. You got other receivers that are used to playing this role and that role. He's moving guys around. And again, it's the same thought process. 1, you're seeing who can do what. 2, you're getting them comfortable at different spots. So it's a good thing. And then here's another video of him talking about CJ having control. Question by Cody Stutes. Good question, Cody.
It's like anything else. The more you can do, the better off you're going to end up being. And he wants to have the ability to be able to control. And when you're at that position, there's a lot of great value in being able to fix problems that come up or unscouted looks that come up. And it doesn't happen overnight. That's for sure. And it's repetition. It's comfort with the offense. He's working hard. He's done a good job, and we'll just keep growing that.
Yeah, so that'll be good. And obviously it'll take time. He's not getting physical reps, but he's getting mental reps. And also, too, I think this is something he's familiar with. I think he did more of that at Ohio State. So I think that's why I think like he's going to have potentially an MVP caliber year. Like CJ's the guy. We know who the hell he is, man. Like, don't let last year fool you. And then he spoke highly on Cade Stover.
What are you saying from Cade Stover?
He's tough. And, you turn on the tape. I think you guys have all seen it. He plays with his hair on fire, and there's no substitute for that. And I appreciate the way he plays the game. I've had a lot of respect for him dating back to his days at Ohio State.
What are you saying from Cade?
See that guy's eyes light up when he talks about, he's tough.
And
yeah, he's hype about Cade, bro. He's so hype. I'm hype about Cade. It's going to be dope. Let me check my phone, make sure I'm all good on all fronts with the wife and the kids, everything. Let's see. All right. All right. A little beer burp. Wife's on the way home. Daughter's about to wake up. So any moment I'm out this bit. I'm trying to cuss on here, so I do have a bit of a potty mouth, but it's really hard not to when you're just chilling with the friends, the homies. Forrest says, I want to see Mixon and Marks in the backfield together with Lakey and Stover. Yes, Lakey. I didn't even talk about Lakey, dude. Lakey, golly. We need some more content on Lakey. We got to ask the reporters about, give us Lakey content. Defenses will bite on play action, and you could dump off to Marks. Royal says, Slowick need to be watching that presser. Facts. Sky Kings, Nico and Jaden. Okay, yeah, that's kind of dope. And then here is Caley talking about O-line rotation.
To be able to watch what the offensive line can do and how you all are mixing and matching right now, but how much of that are you going to be able to use to solidify going into training camp?
Yeah, I think it's like anything else. I don't think anything's going to be solved here in the next 2 weeks, okay? But it is obviously a progression. There's things in this time of the year with not having pads on. We can't hit gap double teams. We're not going to come off the ball and capture zone combinations as much. When you get into training camp,
he just started talking, you can't gap double teams. You can't off zone combinations. Like, he was freaking – he loves football, dude.
A lot of those things come to life, which obviously carries over into the play action game. Your play passes on early downs and passing off picks and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more of a controlled environment, but we're certainly going to build off everything we do and continue to build up until the time we report back here.
All right, I got to run. I'm going to run through a couple things real quick just to make sure we cover all of our bases. Yeah, Matt Burke talked about Christian Harris, and here's the play with Petrie. And so it was a wheel route to Mechie. This video is slowed up. So, pretty good coverage. It's kind of hard to cover a guy. So it's, if you did have one knock on Petrie, it was him, deep in coverage. And he got his head back, played the ball. That's a tight window, tight throw. Maybe it could have been a little bit better ball from Mills, but I think it's a pretty good play from Petrie. And again, the video, I think, makes it all look worse. It's slowed down. But, I'm really high on Petrie. I know how I am on Petrie. I think he could be maybe, Pro Bowl caliber for sure, potentially even all pro at that star position. He's basically our third linebacker. Uh, and then I talked about Jawar Jordan. I feel like he's somebody we've forgotten about. I was high on him. He's like a fifth, sixth round pick out of Louisville last year, running back, got injured. So basically, this is his rookie year. And, given Caley that we suspect he can be more versatile with running backs, that could be a weapon for him. There's a video there, the highlights. I'm sure y'all seen it. This was pretty cool. Matt Burke talking about Will Anderson Jr.
Talking about you guys know, I mean, the effort and the intensity and energy is never going to be an issue, and the get off. And so I think the challenge that we put to Will is to fine tune the details and go, what does it take to go from good to great to elite to the best? And as he's climbing that ladder, it gets harder and harder to make those steps up those rungs. We know he's a good player, great player. All right, now how do we keep climbing and fine tuning to become even better? And he's on a mission. He actually he dropped a move today in the pass rush setting that was a new move for him that he executed really well. It was really cool to see. So he's just really trying to work on a lot of details to
So basically, it tells us that they've been talking with him hey, you have potential to be not only good, great, elite, but the best in the league, and they're on the same page together to get to that mission together. And he had the first building block foundations, and now he's taken that step to being the best. And he pointed out an example where it's technique and refining his skills, where he now your first couple years you're kind of going with your bread and butter, and then now you can build on that and kind of add to your bag. And his pass rush skills, had a new movie been working on, dropped it into live action and crushed it. So that's great to hear. He also, Matt Burke, raves about Jalen Petrie, basically, about his work ethic, his enthusiasm, and again, talks about how Jalen Petrie has elite focus to become the best. And he says, whatever that is in the league, he's referring to the nickel star role. So Jalen Petrie is all about being the best at his position in the league. So that's great to hear. And then, so let me just scroll through. There's a couple more things. I'm about to have to wake my daughter up in about 2 minutes. Let me scroll through the timeline. Sorry, babe. I'll be there in a second. This was dope as hell seeing after OTAs, Kamari Lassiter, Kalen Bullock, and Jalen Smith are 3 young bucks in the secondary, all getting extra work in the lab with Ja'Cory One-Way. Shout out Ja'Cory, who's been on the show. He's one of the best defensive back trainers in the nation. And look at this footwork on these guys, dude. It's insane. All 3 of them is insane. And I think Ja'Cory, we were messaging, I think they might have came in before and after. I think it was a 3 a day. I don't want to be wrong, but he said something about 3. And so, I mean, that's what Swarm is right there. Special work ethic and relentless mindset. Woody Marks was at the Astros game. He ran into the H-Town Rundown boys with Jules. That's pretty dope. Saw the walk-off by Yonir. Shout out Yonir. That was sick. And then, just kind of scrolling back through. Astros are back in the lead in the division. Correa helped us get there by hitting a home run in extra innings against the Mariners. Suck it, Mariners. And then, CJ Gardner-Johnson, I guess he saw my tweet about, him saying, I reposted his video about people stressing about OTAs or whatever. And then people were saying, he needs to wear Texans gear. And he responded, say, I'm going to step out in red next time. That's dope. And then, we got some more Aziz clips and other clips. So, that's pretty much it, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in on a random impromptu Saturday. If I could, I would stream all day, every day. It would be dope I might start doing games. It would be cool to watch Astros games. It would be cool to play Madden, just chill. But anyhow, that's all I got for today. Thank all y'all for tuning in. Feel free to check me out on all platforms. I appreciate y'all so much. Be blessing.